Okay. Hey everybody, it's Monday. It's Always Bookin Comedy. I'm Mark Masters, joined by Peter Liu this week from Boston, Massachusetts. Did I get that right? I'm doing that from memory. Are you in Boston?
You got that right.
Okay, awesome. All right. And we had a little bit of a sound issue. Mark in Carolina says much better. Awesome. Let's have some fun for the next little bit, Peter. So we met recently at the Boulder Comedy Festival. Very funny. Peter's super funny. Got to see him in a very warm brewery, a side room of a crazy brewery. That brewery was insane. Did you walk around that place at all?
You can be like the rest of it, not really, but
It had a mini golf course. It had a basketball court. There was like pickleball and badminton and an outdoor amphitheater. It was a very impressive property. It was pretty cool. I think it was called Wonderland in Broomfield.
They also had like some indoor like an arcade and stuff.
Yeah. How was the rest of the festival for you?
Oh, it was great. I think all the shows were like pretty much packed or sold out or very close to it. And I don't know, the dairy arts ones, those were great. That like little that was fun. I did a junkyard thing as well after the Wonderland one, which is kind of like similar setup type of brewery. They have like a repurposed whatever it used to be, and it's like a bunch of like, I don't know, just like a children's junkyard, I guess, outside. Like
that's awesome.
And I don't know, old cars, stuff like that. It was cool.
Did you film any of that stuff?
I did.
Nice.
That was a good set. It was like a daytime. It was the brunch show actually.
Oh, okay.
And it was pretty good.
Nice. Well, shout out to hardworking festival organizers and festivals all over the place.
Yep.
Pretty cool, Boulder Comedy Festival. So how did you get into comedy? Like how long have you been doing it?
I'm in my 5th year now.
Okay.
I started actually I took a class, which is like not what a lot of people shit on classes, which makes sense. But I think
was it helpful to you?
It was nice. I think because it's like comedy is like so terrible when you start, like all the open mic, you know what I mean? It's just like so bad that I feel like having training wheels of a class being just like 6 weeks of like, you know, here's a people that are going to listen to what you have to say, even if it kind of sucks. You know what I mean? And you like kind of workshop that over the course of 6 weeks. And then they do like a graduation show, which is like a sneaky bringer basically, which I didn't realize until right? If you're the real comic doing the guest spot on that show, you know it's going to be a good show because like everyone in that class bring like 5 to 10 of their friends and whatnot. It's always going to be a hot crowd. Everyone else is going to suck. But no, it was good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the like supportive environment to start comedy. Like there's not much they actually taught you. I think they're just like, take the mic out of the stand, don't go over time. That's really it. That's like the whole class. The rest is just you like workshopping with people, right? And then you start doing open mics, and then you're like, oh shit, there's like 30 people in this room, and no one's paying attention. And like, oh, okay, this is what the open mic scene is like. But then you go through all the bullshit, and eventually start doing shows, and it gets better.
How did you find the class?
How did I find the class? It's a old spot. It's called Improv Boston. It doesn't exist.
I did a mic there once.
Oh, you did?
I saw a big rat run underneath my car when I left the place. That's what I remember.
Yeah.
It was a good room. For an open mic, it was really
Was it the side room you did or the main room?
Probably the side room, kind of small, maybe fit 50 to 75.
Side room. Yeah. Unfortunately, it doesn't exist anymore, but I think they still exist as an entity, but they do mostly improv now, so they don't.
Okay.
The building died during the pandemic, but no, I just found it because it was like in Boston. There's like, I guess, not that many comedy. There's not too many comedy like classes, I guess you could take.
Yeah. And how did it like? Was it like 6 weeks or was it one day or?
I think it was like 6 weeks. I was like once a week for 6 weeks, and then I think the first week or the first day, I think we just chit chat and nothing happened. And the second day, they're like, "All right, come on stage." And I remember at that time, you're like, "What? We're already at the getting on stage part?" And they're like, "Yeah, I just want you to get on stage and just like talk." And I remember being on stage. I was like, "Oh, you know what? This doesn't feel that bad." I was just like, yeah.
What do you think the best thing you learned that you wouldn't have, that it would have taken you a while to figure out on your own? Because I'm assuming everything that you learned in a class, you would have realized on your own eventually. What
Yeah.
was like a nice cheat code shortcut of taking a class?
Trying to think. I think the cheat code of the class is more that you get like maybe you get the resources for where to start. You know what I mean? Like you meet other people that you could like that you're starting with at the same time that you could go to mics with, and you kind of like find out like these are the places where you find where the mics are. This is like, and then you can like kind of like go together as opposed to if you just started by yourself and you just went to an open mic.
Nice.
You have like a buddy.
So it's like a networking kind of
Yeah, like
social thing.
in
Do
terms of
you,
like
do you,
full writing, I don't think like it's a 6 week class. You know what I mean? It's like
yeah.
what are you
Is,
gonna?
is anybody from your class still doing comedy? 5 years is a long time.
Yeah, two of them. Two of them.
That's
Actually,
awesome.
three of them. Three out of like
Wow.
almost 10 people. That's pretty good ratio actually. I think it's higher than most of the other
That's
classes.
great. And are they doing well? I assume if you stick around for 5 years, you're
Yeah,
pretty much
yeah,
hopefully doing pretty well.
doing fine. I think some of them they like they're taking it more seriously now than they did previously, or yeah, because of the pandemic and whatnot. But yeah, it's cool. I think just like having similar people start at the same time as you, so you can all like kind of like, because in the beginning you're gonna be like, oh, like I'm gonna go to this mic. You want to come to this mic? And the people, and then you all end up going. Eventually, you have to still just be like self motivated and just do everything yourself. But like, I don't mind the training wheels because like the initial grind sucks. So
Yeah, cool. So you're 5 years in, or in your fifth year. When did you start applying to festivals? Like how far in did you start applying to festivals? Why did you apply to festivals? What do you feel you're getting out of festivals when you go to them?
when did I start applying? I think that's a funny question because I think I hit like around the 2 year during the pandemic. So I
Okay.
probably submitted first to Zoom festivals before an actual festival,
Okay.
which which Zoom festivals are just, I don't know, they're not really festivals because it's the same as just the regular Zoom room, right? But I think the first one that I like got in that was no, that was actually the Zoom, was the Boston Comedy Festival, and it was the virtual one that
Okay.
year. Um, and then since then, the real ones, I've been doing a lot of them afterwards. I don't know. I enjoy festivals. It's nice meeting other comics. Traveling different cities. Uh, yeah, just doing comedy at different places. You get to meet people. You get to do comedy at different places. See how the crowds are different and all that stuff. I think it's good to like branch out so you're not just like stuck in your own seat. You know what I mean? Like I think Boston is nice because it's local. But like I did the Burbank one, which some people are like, "Oh, that's not the best festival," but I'm like, "Oh, it's still like you can do a festival out there. You can do some other shows, make it worth your while." You know what I mean? Chicago had one that was at the World Comedy Expo. That was at Second City and Laugh Factory. That was a fun one. Um, Boulder, I enjoyed Boulder.
Yeah.
That was good.
Zoe Rogers, shout
So,
out to her.
yeah, I
She did a great job.
packed out all the shows. That was
Yeah.
amazing. The New York
So
not
that was your most recent festival, right?
Boulder, yeah, that was
Yeah. Any any comics you met in particular that stood out to you that you think you might work with again or stay in touch with, or
yeah, I think I stayed in touch with a good number of comics that were like on my show. Some from New York, some from Boulder itself. I think. Yeah, I'll probably keep in touch with all the comics I met. So
huh, nice.
I met
How
you, right?
yeah, there we go. We're staying in touch. So let's talk about, do you run shows or run a mic or anything like that?
Yeah. So I have a venue. It's called The Jungle. It's like Jungle underscore comedy. If people want to check it out on Instagram, but it's it's a music venue actually. It's a music venue, so it has a nice stage, proper sound equipment, lighting, all that stuff. And it's like doing I was playing around with this 10 p.m. show on a Tuesday, which is like a hit or miss because it's 10 p.m. on a Tuesday. So now that is just a weekly mic slot instead, and we're doing the shows on like 5 p.m. matinees on Saturdays and Sundays, mostly because all the good nights, the good slots, it's still a music venue. So
Yeah.
I mean, so like 7, 8 o'clock on Friday, Saturday, Sunday is when all the music happens.
Yeah. Cool. How long ago did you add the weekend early shows?
I think the first one was probably like a year ago, maybe somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it must be pretty successful to still be going a year later.
Yeah, it's like mostly monthly, so it's like easier to manage versus
Yeah.
like if the open mic on Tuesdays every week, and that's just like comics, get to work their stuff. But yeah,
And
that,
do you host the open mic?
I used to. I
Okay.
don't much anymore. Now I have like other people guest host because
Nice.
it's a long Tuesday. It starts at 10, so it goes till like 1.
Wow. How many comics sign up?
Like recently, I'm at like 30 to 40, which is like too many. That's way too many. Like
How do you manage
20,
that? Do you ever
that
cut off the list, or do you tell people, look, you only get 90 seconds, or
it's like a 4 minute one, so it's like easier. I think it cuts down to 3 towards the end. The hard out is basically the venue, and that's the 1 o'clock.
yeah.
But yeah, that keeps it.
And
Boston doesn't have too many mics, I would say.
huh.
There's not that many. Like, there's no other mic at that time slot, like 10 o'clock on a Tuesday. You know what I mean? There's
Okay.
8 o'clock, like regular whatever mic, and then you get everyone who's like working like if they're a night shift where they got off from a bar or something, they'll like pop over or something like
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for running a mic.
that.
It's it's
Appreciate.
important. That's
Yeah,
that makes the whole thing go round. So comedy doesn't get better, comedians don't get better without open mics. So it's
it's a terrible,
important.
painful experience.
Yeah. What do you think is what are some of the pain points of running a mic?
Well, like I said, I don't do it as much anymore. So, but I think the most enjoyable mic that I hosted was actually an outdoor one in the middle of the day. This was like kind of late pandemic, and I think it's because everyone's outside, so it's a nice day. So even if you're bombing, who cares? You know what I mean? Like, it's a nice day out, and it was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. People were just kind of hanging out afterwards, and everyone's attentive. That was the only mic that I've hosted for an extended period of time where everyone went and they were attentive, because the list was like less than 15 people each time, right? Like 10 people. Like, we can all pay attention for 10 people for 5 minutes. That's easy. You know what I mean? Like, everybody knows everyone will do our thing. But regular open mics, oh, that's a shit show. I mean, I'm sure you know. You know what I mean? Like, we're drunk, people aren't paying attention, all the usual stuff. You know what I mean?
Do you so we got a question from the audience here. How many of the 30, 40 comics get time on Tuesday?
Uh, I would say most of them, at least 30. 30 is pretty like consistent. You could definitely get 30.
Nice.
Occasionally, some people at the end, you might like get like a shorter time slot, but
Yeah.
we've missed people. We have put in hard cutoffs, in which case if you're not going to make it. So.
Got it. Nice. Any like celebrity visitors to your open mic ever?
Celebrity, I mean, it's mostly just local headliners that pop in. I wouldn't call them
Okay.
celebrity. It's not like, oh, Kevin Hart came to the open mic. You know what I mean? Like, not yet. Let's just say. Let's say.
Okay. Nice. Okay, so you start running a show. What would talk about your weekend show a little bit? How do you market it? What's gone well? Why is it successful?
Why is it successful? It needs to be successful for me to answer that question. It's I think well, marketing wise, I think everyone kind of like does the same thing now, right? You got your Eventbrite for ticketing, you have Facebook ads, you got Instagram ads, you could do all the paper stuff. I think I found the most success actually not in the I used to do the ads a lot, and then I realized the demographics on the ads you have to like really specify for you to get like, because you could pick the radius, you could pick the age, you can pick very specific things, but what they have normally is pretty broad. So unless you really like nail into your demographic, It's not as
How big a radius do you like to do around the venue?
I do back then. I think it was like I don't know, like 10 miles. It was like
Okay.
small, but it's like it's local. You know what I mean? So there's like no point in making it massive. In fact, you could argue 10 is too much. But what I found most useful is actually posting community groups. That I think is more helpful sometimes than the ads because people like pay attention to those more. And I realize that's like what I do too. Like if I go to a city that I don't know anything and I don't know anyone, I join like a Facebook group of like things to do in Barcelona or whatever, like blah blah blah. So there's like enjoying Boston, wicked funny Boston. There's like a lot of these groups, secret Boston, anything funny in Boston, stuff like that. So like those community groups are like Cambridge, Cambridge community, whatever, blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? Like so like those groups I think help more, and then just like spamming the shit out of them. Not to the point where they like reject your posts, but like you got to do it pretty often. I think you could do like 2-3 weeks out, like once a week is probably fine, but like the week leading up, probably up that frequency to like every other day so you get enough engagement.
Nice. What's the seating like at this rock venue? Because a lot of rock venues don't have chairs.
Yeah, like I would say for full capacity, they prefer like for music, they don't need chairs, right? They just have a bunch of people standing. They do have chairs still, and they do have tables. We just put in like a couple rows, and then there's 2 tables in the back. So
Okay.
rows and then tables at the very back.
Nice. Awesome. Any shows you've started that have died off and don't exist anymore?
Yeah, I did this Zoom show actually during the pandemic, which was actually I think the most fun show. It was called Comics Who Showered, and they're like this was like I don't know if you remember back then, like during the very beginning, no one did anything, right? And then Zoom was a thing, and then like people were like shitting on Zoom hard, and I was one of those people. And then there was nothing to do, literally. So I'm like, we're gonna do the Zoom thing, I guess. That's the only thing there is to do. And that was like fun. That it was like a small little show. We started locally, and then there was just like a big void because nothing was going on. So like I was reaching out to these like headliners from like like LA or New York or all these places, and they were just like it was a free show. Like it was literally just people hanging out during the pandemic, and they would do it. And people were like, "How are you getting all these people to do your show?" I'm like, I literally just asked them. That's all I did. I was
Yeah.
like,
Who are some of the big? Can you drop some names
um,
or anybody who was particularly cool or fun?
yeah, it's J.R. de Guzman did it.
Oh, nice. He's got an HBO special now.
Yeah, he's got an HBO special. He's like touring theaters now. Who else did it? Liz Miele, she's a New York comic.
Yeah,
Very
so
fun.
funny.
Jason Long did it. He's got a couple of Netflix specials. He's a Malaysian guy, very
Okay.
nice guy. Mike Kaplan did it.
Oh, nice.
Mike, I assume.
Yeah, I know of him. I haven't. I need to. I'd like to get him out to Colorado sometime. So
That would be nice. Let's see. Gary Goldman said no. Uh,
he responded though.
but he responded. And
Yeah,
that's what's so
I'm impressed.
he was like, no, thank you. I was like, yes, he said something.
That's nice.
But yeah, there were like a good number. It was just like I was just it was fun.
All right,
that show.
awesome. All right, we got a question from the audience here. Peter, any tips on how to stand out and get repeat bookings?
I like booking people, or you're getting yourself booked?
I think getting yourself booked.
Oh, I think I would say if you do get booked, show up. Do all the things you're supposed to do. Don't fuck around. Be there on time. Stick to your time. Stay for the show ideally, and assuming you show up and you take advantage of the opportunity in the sense that like you do your job properly, people should book you again, and don't be a dick. That's usually it.
Yeah.
Like if you do what you're supposed to do, don't go over time, show up on time, stay there, be funny, don't be a dick. You should get booked again, unless you do something else like really stupid.
Right. That's good advice. I like it. Let's talk about a booking win for you. So, like as a comic, uh, tell me a story about some time when you got booked on something that you were really excited about and how it came to pass.
Mm, let me think. When I got booked on something, I was like, probably private gigs. I think I started doing private gigs. Gianmarco Sorese, I don't know if you
Yeah, I know him.
yeah. So he like I like met him virtually too first, and he was one of those guys who like I remember we did the same March Madness competition, and he was like in the first round I saw him, and I was like, oh, this dude's gonna win everything, like, and then he won everything. He won that year,
Yeah.
but he was like this was like 3 years back probably.
This was in Boston or in New York?
No, it was on Zoom. It was
Oh,
on Zoom.
on Zoom. Okay, okay.
He's like touring the country, doing headlining everything now.
Yeah,
So
yeah, he's killing it.
yeah, he's killing it
I
now.
can't even book him. I tried to book him. I thought I was going to be able to book him, and then his agent got involved, and
Yeah, he's
yeah,
like I think a year ago you could have got him for like $600. I don't know what it is now. Now it's probably like a couple of K plus hotel or something. If
yeah,
but he was nice. I remember talking to him like after that, and he also came to Boston once, so I like met him in person.
nice.
But he got me hooked up on this thing called like Gig Salad and the
Yeah.
Bash. That's
Mm-hmm.
like all the corporate gigs. So
Okay.
I'll like because when you get booked when you're beginning, like the point of you running stuff is like you meet people, all that stuff, but it's also stage time for yourself. But like even that and other things, you only have so much time. You know what I mean? Like maybe 10, 15-minute sets or whatever, right?
Yeah.
The cool thing with the private gigs is like they're just like booking you for like a show, so it's an hour, right? So you
Yeah.
break open for you, but you can like really stretch. You know what I mean? You go 15, 20, 20, 25, 35, 40. You know what I mean? Like you can like fully stretch.
Sure.
So I think the fact that I got into like a lot of that stuff like really early before I was even ready, like bombed a couple times and then figured it out. That was cool because I was like, oh, like now I can like work on like really long sets and just like kind of like work at this thing until I get good at it. So probably those I would say.
Nice. Okay, so let's look at the other side. As a show producer, any bookings that you're particularly excited about other than the Gary Goldman saying no? and,
Um,
and let's limit it to in person if possible.
yeah, other than Gary Coleman saying no, that was the highlight of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Uh, People, oh, that I'm excited.
So you're a show producer, you book comics. Some story about somebody who you booked who maybe did an incredible job or maybe not such a great job, and you were just psyched. Like, for example, if you ever had Gary Goldman on your show, like that would be a story you would tell. Like, oh, you won't believe this is how I got Gary Goldman. But let's set the expectations a little lower.
Gary Goldman, he actually he like used to drop by guest spots at the Comedy Studio. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, which currently is on hiatus. It's gonna be back, I think, in like 4 months. But
Okay.
trying to think.
Or maybe if you want to take it in the opposite direction, maybe a booking thing that went terrible and a lesson you learned from it. Maybe don't mention a name unless you have a grudge to bear.
This one dude who was like, um, probably the only one. He was like, this was during Zoom, so it's like not as bad. But like he had been booked to headline the show, and then like I think he messaged me like maybe like the hour before, like, hey, I got this other show that I'm doing that's like live because this was like transitioning between oh we're allowed to do some stuff but not really, and then he's like, but I'll do your thing afterwards, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. So we were like waiting for him to come. So the rest of the show happened, right? Everyone went up, the openers, features, blah 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 blah, and then. He was like, oh, I'll be here in like whatever 10, 20 minutes at that time. So we're just like, oh, okay, we'll just fill some time. So we had some other comics just fill some time while there was like a room of people virtually waiting for him. And then like I think 20, 30 minutes passed and he still nothing. And then eventually he was like, oh, sorry, they bumped a guy and I still haven't gone on stage or some bullshit like that. And then like because it's like Instagram, you can just like see what people are doing. And I
Yeah.
think some other person or like guest member in the room was like, oh, like it looks like he's booked for like 2, 3 other things this night that are happening right now as
Ugh.
well. I'm like, all right, this fucker. So like we were just all kind of like hanging out in the Zoom room for like half an hour with all these people waiting. But yeah, I won't mention his name. But yeah, that was annoying. That was like dick move, I think, because it's just like I get it if you're like book, just say you can't make it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
waiting. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's a bummer. All right. Any road stories? So let's talk about gig. What's your best bash gig salad booking story in person?
I have a couple terrible ones.
Oh, okay. Let's hear it.
Good ones. I can start with good ones. We'll still
Okay.
go. I did a Landmark College. That was surprisingly good. It's a college in Vermont for like kids who are like on the spectrum, mostly
Okay.
autistic kids. And I had no idea how this would go going in because we didn't know how autistic they were. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I wasn't like we're all like it was like me and my buddies, right? We were like this might go terribly. You know what I mean? Like it's just like but then we got there, you know, like we did the show and they were a great time. They all laughed, like they understood everything. They're just like a little socially awkward. Well, maybe more than a little bit, but like they understood like everything's there. You know what I mean? Like punchlines, they're laughing at the right time, blah blah blah. They did kind of heckle a lot by just kind of asking questions, which is like you know what I mean, but like inquisitive questions. Like you could tell they weren't trying to, but
Right.
it was great. It was a good time. We ended up going back like I think I went back one more time after that, and
Nice.
maybe yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed
Cool.
that.
All right. Well, we got to wrap this up. How can people find you?
You guys can find me at Peter Liu Comedy. It's PTRLIU Comedy on literally everything: YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, whatever. Actually, I don't have Twitter anymore. I deleted Twitter because I don't like Twitter, and there's no one following me on Twitter. TikTok, whatever, all the craps. Peter Liu Comedy.
Sure.
Yeah,
Awesome. And what's the name of your show again?
the one it's called the Jungle Comedy, Jungle_comedy.
Jungle_comedy, everybody, at a rock venue. Sounds very fun. Go out early, get some laughs, and then go get some dinner and hit the town in Boston. All right.
Hell yeah.
Mark in Carolina says thank you. All right. We're going to shut this down. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.